welcome, welcome. So today I want to talk about aligning yourself in your relationships. Most times there's going to be a partner in a relationship, and this can be a friendship, this can be a romantic relationship, a marriage, a family relationship, all of those. But one half of the pair is going to change through some form of self-awareness, whether that be by choice, something that they decided that they wanted to learn, or by circumstance, something that happened to them that caused them to grow. And there's going to be what feels like a divide between one person who is aware or woke, I like to say, and the other who is maybe a little bit more in the physical realm and still just kind of doing their thing. And this showed up for me in my relationship. So I started into the self-awareness journey when I was, I want to say about 21, and I met my husband at about 25. And I was already into this, so he knew full well what he was getting himself into. But I, since then, have done a deep, deep dive. So he always made jokes that I was his hippie. And I absolutely am that. And I used to wonder and question, if I am so self-aware, if I am so woke, if I am into meditation and yoga and all of those sorts of things, will there be a day where I outgrow him and he stays the same, and then we are lost in this loop and I have to choose? Now, fast forward 6 years and we're still the same people. I'm still a hippie and he is still a beer drinking, rock music, working hard kind of guy. And nothing happened. Nothing bad happened. Not at all. I am still doing my self-awareness, doing my work, and he is loving and supportive of it. And yeah, I had hoped that, he'd become this yoga guy and that we would do yoga together and then we would meditate together, and, he'd have a man bun and we'd be this couple, that wears crystals and is super vibey and all those sorts of things. But what I've come to realize over the years is that I couldn't be who I am without him. Now, I know that's going to pull your backs up a lot. What I mean to say is I have been the dreamer. I have been the entrepreneur. I have been the viber and the dance under the mooner. And I have done all of these things while barely being able to hold down a job, because I'm very much the type of person who needs to be given the trust to do things properly. And when I don't, I leave the job. So I've had a lot of jobs. And yeah, and he has been this steady river that just beats, and he goes to work and he provides for our family and he loves me through it every time I quit a job. And he continues to be supportive and loving and kind over and over again. And I find that we've become this beautiful pair of yin and yang. We balance each other. And I have learned to become more pragmatic and more, just don't let it affect you. Just keep going. We make this joke, no one cares, just keep working. It's a joke. But, but that's just it, is that, I have learned to root myself into this earth plane, as opposed to being this airy fairy all the time up in the clouds. And he has learned little bits of what I love. And he has learned to have fun on more of an off the cusp sort of way, to relax into, when something happens that is out of our control, he has learned to relax into that more, and those types of things, which is more my qualities. And now, for those of you that are out there questioning, is my romantic relationship, friendship, family relationship, once I've moved into this self-awareness space, do I need to end these relationships? And my short answer is no. But let me tell you why. Well, first, let me disclaimer. If the relationship is causing you harm, physical harm, emotional harm, abusive, those types of things, then leave. You do not owe them anything. But for the rest of you, when I speak to, do you need to leave someone who isn't as self-aware as you? The answer is no. And when I first started this journey, I cut out people because all the books said, that as you embark upon this journey, you will have to sever ties with people that bring you down, and you'll have to create this tribe. And I kind of think that was a little bit harming for me, because I ended relationships that did not need to end in dramatic fashions that did not need to be done, and it truly did not serve me or them in any way. It did not make me more woke, more self-aware. It just created guilt. Now, will these relationships fade on their own if they're not aligned? Of course they will. Of course they will. But they will mirror each other beautifully if you allow them to be them and you to be you. And what is this rooted in? That's the question you have to ask yourself when you're wondering, do I need to end my relationship of some kind because of my self-awareness journey? Why are you asking yourself that? And pause for a moment and think about it. Why are you asking yourself whether or not this relationship needs to end because your context of reality has changed? If you're like me, you answered, well, because I can't grow, because I can't expand, because I keep gaining weight, because I could be so much further along. And what I've come to realize is that you are in charge. And when you are projecting your failure because of this other person, it generally means that you are afraid that you can't do it on your own and that you will fail. And so for that reason, I ask you, instead of asking the person to change, to be better, to be more supportive. Instead, ask yourself what you need to be in order to not fail yourself. Would it be easier? Yeah, it'd be easier if my husband, whose name is Brad, it'd be easier if he was this big hippie, and that he loved vegan food and whole foods. But he doesn't. He loves beer and craft dinner and hot dogs and Costco food. And until I learned that the only person that I can control is the person standing in these two shoes, I continually gained weight and I continually drank more than I wanted to. But when I realized that the person fitting in these two shoes is the only person that I need to be in charge of, I changed my eating habits. I changed my drinking habits. And there is times where I don't join Brad on the things that he likes doing. And maybe that creates a hair of a divide in the sense that we aren't physically in the same room together, but it becomes this soul nurturing event where Brad leaves the house, I run a bath, I watch shows that make me light up, I light candles, I burn incense, I smudge the home, whatever it is that I enjoy. He goes off, he has fun, he feels better, he has time with his boys to connect, and then he comes back a better husband than he was before. And for these friends and these family and these relationships that you're in and you're questioning, maybe they aren't that right now. Maybe you're listening to me and going, oh, well, that's nice for her. Brad sounds like a great guy. And well, number one, he is. Babe, if you're listening, you're a great guy. But second, he did not start out that way. It took me accepting me for whom I am and loving it and being completely unapologetic about what I want for him to then become the person that I wanted him to be in the first place. And now I started off not this way. I started off being like, read this book, Brad. Come with me. Let's go to this event. Here's some crystal jewelry, put it on, and that sort of stuff. And I think it tainted the journey for him. I pushed so hard that he fought back. And of course it did. And the thing that lights you up, say it's, reading self-help books. If reading self-help books was what your partner imposed upon you, then you would skip them. Or I have this picture in my mind of like a comic book inside the Bible, like you saw when you were kids in TV shows. It's the same sort of idea, right? It's tainted. You picked up that book because it felt good to you. And it's the exact same situation here. The person that you are with, in whatever relationship this relationship is that you're thinking of, they will do what lights them up. And there is nothing you can do to change what lights them up. They're on their soul journey. And there's going to be different contexts of things that make them feel good. And for you to try to change their context to suit your needs is in essence selfish. So I ask you, where in your life can you take charge and release the grip on the other person and how you believe they should be? Where can you be your authentic self? And now, if they are putting down the things that you want to do, that's a good place for a boundary. That's a good place to draw a line in the sand and say, I'm doing me, so don't wait up. But if they are loving and accepting, but maybe not interested in what you're doing, it's perfectly fine. It's totally okay. And if you can then stretch into the gratitude behind it. So for me, it is the fact that Brad goes to work every day faithfully so that I can be the dreamer. So if you can find gratitude for who they are and how that best serves the partnership, then even better. And then, and only then, and this should never be the main goal, but then and only then, when you are in a true state of acceptance and joy and peace, could you potentially rub off on that person. And they could potentially learn some things because they're going to see this beautiful, happy person who is so whole and so happy. They're going to have this kind of like, well, what's she doing? Or he doing? You know? What are they doing? Seems to be working. And maybe they'll pick up little things. Or maybe they won't. And both need to be appropriate. So, I hope you found today's episode enlightening and educational. And I hope that it feels like a bunch of boulders off your back, that you don't need to cut out all these people because you are on a journey. Thank God. I wish someone would have told me this. You know, like, oh, I'm going to be a hippie, so I can only be friends with hippies. That was a lot of freaking work. You know what I mean? Yeah. And now I've started to recultivate some of those relationships, and I'm so pleased. And everybody can bring something. And the thing is that whatever is most general seems like it's most vulnerable. But everybody is saying the same thing in a different wrapper. So why not just accept their wrapper? We all just want happiness. That's it. So why can't we just be ourselves? And I think that the true happy person is the person who is totally fine with only being in charge of the person that fits into these two shoes. Okay? So I hope you go out today, everyone, and you live free.